Intro.
Scaramouche.
Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm Chad, and today we're talking about Scaramouche.
1954.
1954.
Chad, why did I want you to watch this movie?
Because you think all movies now are bad, and you want me to watch an old movie to be like, hey, see how much better this is?
A movie?
Where I said, yeah, but there weren't no aliens.
There was no purple alien threatening the end of the universe. No, but honestly, great movie, right?
Oh, yeah, it was good.
It was really fun.
I miss old-timey actors.
Yeah. The entire time we were watching it, we were like, it's Bruce Campbell's dad. Like,
yeah, Bruce Campbell, I think, definitely loved this guy and bases like
there was a couple Ramy scenes too. Like, you can definitely tell, like, this is like a Phantom of the Paradise where you're like, oh, I get the reference. Yeah. You know, I see where they were coming from. Like,
that chandelier scene was cool.
Chandelier scene, the entire end of the movie, that one duel. Like nice. I told you, like the last half hour is just a duel, and it was like corny. Then it got really intense, you know. And that's that whole movie is it's corny, it's jokey, it's lighthearted, but then boom,
flips.
People are dying, and it's like intense and angry and vengeful.
Well, the best thing about this too, we were talking about like the actors for hire back then. Basically, everybody was set at a pay scale. Yeah. And if you wanted to be the best, you had to fucking be good at comedy. You had to be good at the action.
You had to do romance. The threes. You had to dance, sing, and act.
Yeah. And this guy had it all.
And he was a good sword fighter. He was you can tell he's a good sword fighter because when he played a bad sword fighter, it looked bad. Like good, like there's a difference between a rookie who just runs and swing. Like his bad sword play looked.
If it wasn't a fencer, it'd be like shit.
Yeah. Like that first fight he has the duel with the Marquis where he's just like
it's just the most
crack.
It's basically the most unelegant sword fight.
But it looks elegant.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It's like Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan can make things.
He can make a bad fighter look great. Yeah. Because to know how to bad fight, you have to know how to fight.
He knows what looks good on screen. Like the opera stuff he did.
So what's another reason you think I love this movie?
Well, I know you love the costumes.
Where was it set? Yeah.
It was set in France back in the day.
And during the French Revolution, my favorite. I fucking love the French Revolution. So it's literally like it's right before all the nobles realized that even if you sided with the revolution, you were still gonna die. So like half the nobles are like, no, we should side with the peasants, they won't kill us, and the other half are like, they're gonna kill you unless you side with us. But the other side was so authoritarian that the side that wanted to side with the peasants was like, nah, this will work out in the end. And we saw how the movie ends. Fucking Napoleon.
Yeah, basically, this movie starts out where the dude's just having a sword fight. They're in the middle of like a field with like a couple benches, and they're like, oh, they're having a nice little spot. And then all of a sudden, stab.
Like, slice the arm. The guy's like, fuck! And then he stabs him in the chest, and he dies. And then he wipes his blade off and walks to the next guy. And this is the Marquis.
Like, wounds the guy.
And just stabs him twice in the arms, because this is fencing. So, like, the fencing sword is like very narrow. It's flexible, but it's razor sharp, and it's designed to poke and like take pieces out of you. So like the idea is to immobilize your enemy and then kill him, like slice his arms so he can't move his arms, and then just get him in the throat.
Ugh.
Yeah,
it's elegant sword fight.
It's the most elegant because it's not like running up with his Zweihander or just cutting someone in. It's just poke, dead. I love fencing.
I'd want a rapier.
Fencing is there's 3 styles of fencing, and I'm forgetting the first 2, but the third is called sabers,
sabers are so cool.
Yeah, which is like just swinging. Like sabers is anything from the head to the waist counts as a kill, and the idea is to just run in and be as brutal as you can, because like the second you get touched, you're done. You know, so it's just run in and knock his sword out of the way and stab him.
Would you rather fight somebody with a saber or like a katana?
Katanas are slashing weapons, which is why they take a lot of the upwards and then downwards and stuff like that. I don't know. I love a rapier. I love the hand up for balance.
See, sadly, I'd probably be more of the.
You're a barbarian. Well, you're built for it. You got more muscle than me.
Yeah. Imagine seeing like a guy my size.
A guy your size is a giant target.
Yeah.
So you put the gut plate on, right? That solid piece of gut.
Come at me.
And you walk forward with a big two-handed weapon, and sure, I can poke you in the arms, but it's not going to matter when you bring that axe down. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get lucky and like hit you in the face so you like stumble and then poke the shit out of you.
That's why I like the Game of Thrones fight with
the Duelist in the season 1 when Arya's Duelist.
No, the mountain versus the
hound
little guy.
Oh, the serpent,
viper,
red viper,
whatever.
With the spear.
Yeah,
but that's different. That's a spear.
I know. It's like that kind of fighting.
I'm glad he won, but I wish he hadn't bragged.
Yeah, because he got fucked up after.
Yeah, but that's totally Martin's style of writing. Yeah, But I thought you were talking about Arya's dancing instructor when he fights with the wooden sword against the 3 knights.
That was so sad.
I think he won. And you want to know why I think he won? And this can go into a Game of Thrones, because I think he winds up being the faceless man.
Think so?
Because Braavos is the city she goes to learn to be an assassin, and he tells her to pray to the god of death. The god of death is the faceless man's god. You know, I think he was setting her up to be an assassin, because an assassin with a royal face can get anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Scaramouche.
Scaramouche is great because, like, as me and Chad have been talking, we've been rolling into other subjects because you can definitely tell Scaramouche is the base.
Yeah.
That a lot of things borrowed a lot of. The music was great. The sets were amazing.
I like a lot of the old music from these movies.
Yeah, the musical stings, the dun dun, and then it cuts to the woman.
Now we have like dubstep. Playing like Eminem and stuff. Yeah. Christopher Nolan fucked the music in movies.
Him and Zimmer fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Which, I like Hans Zimmer. I like his music. Interstellar's soundtrack is okay, but the movie sucks. But yeah. It's like when Philip Glass was doing every movie. Philip Glass did Requiem for a Dream. Dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun.
I love that soundtrack.
Yeah. He did that. So then everyone started copying that. But this is just like big band orchestra.
Whimsical.
Yeah.
I miss whimsical.
Oh my god, this movie's comedy is fucking spot on.
I for some reason thought this was going to be a musical.
I don't know. I told you Phantom was a musical, but I told you Scaramouche was based on a play, so maybe that's why you're.
Yeah, we're probably both drunk talking about
it. Yeah. Who's the guy that played the lead in Scaramouche?
Stuart Granger.
So Stuart Granger plays the lead.
He was great.
He's like he's what Tony Stark should have been.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Just like a very charismatic.
It's serious when he has to.
Yeah. Oh, what was the joke he kept? Oh, I don't like your face. Well, neither do I. And then he like tries to get past him.
He's like, yes, my face is blah blah blah. Let's go.
Eyes like shit, face like a barn. All right. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, because he starts dueling people. He shows up at the camp and he's screaming for Lenore, and he wants to meet Lenore, and Lenore is gonna get married. He gets in bed with the old lady. And then it cuts. To Marquis de Menez. Anyway, it cuts to the evil Marquis. I'm trying to read his name, but it's fucking French.
Where is it?
Up. Right. There.
Malefier.
Yeah. Marquis de Menez.
Marquis de Menez.
Menez. Anyway, so after he's trying to fuck the old lady and he fails,
he doesn't try to fuck her. He thinks it's the girl. Goes in and she goes, "Oh hey," and he's like, "Shit."
Yeah, and he freaks out. And then it cuts to the Marquis, watching some women dance, and he's like, "That one," and he picks that one, and it's this like super hot girl who's super educated,
Janet Leigh.
Yeah,
Janet Leigh Curtis's mama.
Yeah, who plays an Alni Gravelak.
Aline de Gravelak.
Anyway, She plays this daughter to a nobleman, and she's super hot and like very well spoken, and she knows a lot. She dropped out of algebra at 12, but she knows biology, botany, geography.
And for a woman to know that much back then is,
but not even for a woman, like
anybody really.
Not even no. That's what was expected of you, of the noble class. You were supposed to be very well read. You were supposed to be very well physically fit, which is why she's taking dancing. Like, everyone likes to point to the noble like Henry VIII, like a big fat fuck. That was very uncommon. Because
that was after he got into power, got comfortable, and then so.
But to even get there, think about it. You have to be a brilliant military strategist. You have to be This is why I'm a proponent of monarchy. You were literally picking the best up until meritocracy. Like Roman people had meritocracy. Like the best person was picked to be the emperor, up until they started picking their sons.
Like, not even going into any political stuff, but if back in the day we show them our last 2 presidents,
they'd be so mad at us.
They were just
the last 5. They'd be like, "What?"
Obama was.
No, Obama, according to the media, was perfect. But you look at his scandal list, and
then Marquise ends up going into a room, and this woman starts yelling at him about killing and fatally wounding another person, just casually being like...
That's the queen.
That's his cousin, though.
His cousin is Marie Antoinette.
Yeah.
And she's talking about how, she's like, you killed 3 nobles at a time when nobles are dying left and right due to revolutionary action. Please stop. And he was like, the first guy sat across from me at the dinner table and gave me a dirty look. And she was like, okay, that's understandable. And then he was like, and the second one was a pussy. And she was like, okay. And then he was like, and then the third one spoke ill of a woman. And she was like, oh, and he goes, a goddess. And he grabs her hand, and you're like, you're fucking your cousin. Damn it. But that's just more like anti-Austrian propaganda from the French side. They fucking hated that Marie Antoinette was a Habsburg.
Really?
Yeah, I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. Habsburg dynasty and the Plangellants were like the 2 giant dynasties that controlled everything in Europe. And they were super big enemies. And then the Bourbon dynasty, Bourbon. Yeah, they showed up. They're the reason French use a white flag, because that's the Bourbon's colors. Anyway, so the guy says he wants to fuck his cousin. She says, stop killing people. And he goes, all right, that's cool. But I'm going to kill this guy who's writing this commie propaganda. And this is before commie propaganda existed. In fact, Karl Marx was inspired by revolutionary era France. He was inspired by writers like Robespierre, as you can see. Yeah, Karl Marx was sipping champagne in a fucking salon, talking about how his wife and kids are starving, even though he could totally, feed them, but whatever. Anyway, I hate Karl Marx. 2 things Germany's produced that I hate: Hitler and Marx.
That went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
I mean, they produced 2 people that ruined the world, Fuck Germany. As a German person, I'm allowed to say that. So yeah, he pulls out this pamphlet, and back in the day, pamphlets were, you said magazines, basically, yeah. But it was freedom of the press was a thing. The idea, if you owned a printing press or were able to create pamphlet and literature, you were able to distribute it freely.
Yeah, but they got rid of it in that time period,
because Louis XVI was scared, because a lot of the pamphlets and stuff were revolutionary pamphlets. So he said it's illegal to own a printing press unless you are state approved. And therefore only state approved literature, like what's going on now, was being produced, which made people, the worst thing you can do is stop someone from screaming in the street and make them whisper in the alleys. Because guess what happens when you whisper in an alley? Revolution. So the Marquis sees this, and he wants to nip it in the bud by killing the guy who's writing the pamphlets. The guy who's writing the pamphlets just so happens to be, it was Philippe, Richard Anderson, who is Andre's best friend, because Andre is an orphan who was raised by Philippe's parents. And Philippe is a poor noble, which means he's noble born. He's of the gentry. but he has no money per se.
They're born of it, but they have no say in anything.
So they hate that they're like upper middle class as opposed to the upper class. So they hate, just like a lot of college kids, that the upper class has all the money and they want to destroy the system. Little does he know that the poor don't know the difference between the upper class and the upper middle class. So when the poor decide to rise up, they're going to cannibalize all of you, which is what happened in France, which is the Reign of Terror, which leads to Robespierre, which leads to Napoleon. Anyway, America's heading there real soon. This movie is actually perfect for the time period we watched it in. So Philippe's parents basically tell Andre that he needs to hide Philippe or else. And this is the lead-in scene to that is the sausage.
Yeah, because this is when he, what's his name?
Philippe.
Andre runs into the house, be like, "Oh, where's my friend?" Like, we're hiding him. Look out the window. There's
guards. They came in because the house is fucked up, and he's like, "What the fuck? This is fucked up." And so he finds Philippe.
He gives him the rider outfit and everything.
Yeah, he dresses him up like a stagecoach driver and says, "I ruined that girl's wedding."
We forgot to mention that he leaves the girl he's in love with in the thing. And he's like, "Oh, go." And, nobody will get upset other than just, there's a girl in there, but
don't worry about her. Yeah.
Then he loses her.
Yeah, he does. And she was going to marry, like, the Sausage King. And then it's revealed that she's an actress. And I had to explain this to Chad, but back in the day, like...
Well, it all clicked after everything.
Yeah, but, like, nowadays, like, we
royalty.
Everyone loves actors and actresses, but, like, fucking 200 years ago, they were on the same level as prostitutes. You know, like...
That's why in Moulin Rouge, aren't they prostitutes and actors?
Oh, that's a burlesque show, so that's a little different. But, like, the idea that, like, oh, you get on a stage and pretend to be someone? That's cool. Help me pick cabbage or we all starve to death. Like, you know, like, that's what it was. Like, oh, shit, raiders are coming. What do? Well, you pretend to sword fight? Fuck, we need someone who knows how to sword fight, you know? Like, that's what it was back in the day. Like, oh, you're useless? Ah, shit.
Yeah, but I can make you laugh.
Does that feed
That'd
me?
be your thing, like, I could try to make you laugh.
Well, I would totally be an actor, and I'd be like, come on, I'm funny, right? Don't let me starve to death.
Look at my hat. Doesn't make you chuckle.
I don't work, but give me money and I'll eat. You know?
It's like what you're doing now.
Yes. And look how society is, where people like me are allowed to exist. Anyway.
Right, now, what scene did it go to? Let's
go the horse cart. Broken on the side with a really good mud splatter.
Yeah. I love how this movie does, like, the, what do you call it? The picture. This scene was the most obvious of it. I think this is the scene that only used it.
No, they used it throughout the movie. That was the best part.
The most, like, noticeable.
When they roll up to the castle, that's a matte painting, you know?
Yeah, but this was actually, like, we're going to have a scene, film it, blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to put the actors.
It's like incredibly early green screen.
Yeah.
Incredibly early. Where literally you're just layering 2 layers of film.
That's why I don't want to watch this in Blu-ray.
No, I will not. This movie's perfect.
Like, putting any movie like this in HD.
It was the problem. What was the movie came with the weird bending?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember.
The Howling?
The Howling, maybe.
I think it was The Howling that had the weird bending issue.
Yeah, because it would, like, warp the screen and like, round and stuff.
Yeah.
And plus with this, you see every imperfection and be like...
I miss seeing, like, the spot show up and then disappear because there was a piece of dust on that one frame of the film. I miss that.
Everything's too perfect now. That's why, like, I'll never buy Blu-rays of certain movies.
You can't buy a Blu... I wish I had... Like, Tarantino's so lucky. He has, like, original film reels of movies. Yeah. Tarantino and Cage. Like, they have such... Like, that's why I think I could be friends with Nicolas Cage. Because, like, we wouldn't know anything, but I could be like, hey, man, let's watch a gangster movie from the 40s. And he'd be like, okay. And he'd, like, you know, he'd go to his library and pull a gangster movie out. We'd watch a gangster movie from the 40s.
Out of all the celebrities, he'd probably be the most we'd be friends with. Seems wicked weird.
Seems way too high maintenance.
Yeah.
We're too relaxed.
Than Keanu.
Keanu, but
I don't think Keanu would like us.
You want to go to the gun range and surf? And I'd be like, the gun range maybe, but surfing, nah.
Want to ride some motorcycles?
No, sounds dangerous, man. You want to do karate? Can't throw a punch, man.
I'll try. I'll do karate with Keanu. You know you would too.
Yeah, but what if he was like, we can go hard though?
Like, all right, I'll take it.
Like, all right, I'm gonna stand behind Chad.
I'm like,
no, you're just, but I'm holding you up so you won't go down.
Don't fall. This is awesome.
Just like I got your neck and your spine, and I'm just walking you forward. Anyway,
Scaramouche.
This movie has like 3 different stories in one.
Yeah. Basically, it starts with
him
getting his girl, then going to the carriage scene, the broken down, seeing the young blonde girl.
Hot, dude. So hot.
Played by Janet Leigh, who is from Psycho, famously.
So hot.
Yeah. She's very attractive in this
movie.
Dude.
And I'm not trying to like objectify a woman or anything.
Pig.
I'm saying like this woman is like,
oh yeah.
When we're reviewing this or when you upload this, put a photo of her up because she is.
Not to be a douche, but Jamie Lee Curtis isn't ugly.
She looks like her dad,
but she's not that.
She looks like her dad.
Yeah.
Daughters tend to look like fathers. That's just the way it goes. I've noticed.
What are you gonna do?
I mean, that's why your kid's so. The joke would be funny. You know what I mean? Like, daughters look like their fathers.
I know.
Because it works on 2 levels because I'm calling you hot. And,
I know.
All right.
But you backed out of it.
Because past history, Hey, I gotta watch myself. I gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself, Chad.
What would you do if I left that in my house?
I'd own it. I'd have to, right? Just own it. Yeah, so anyway, so Janet Leigh is looking super hot and she's sitting on the side of the road and
do you know how to fix a wagon wheel? Walks up, looks at it. No.
yeah, that was the best part. Like Andre and Philippe roll up and they're like, what's going on here? And Andre's like, oh shit, a bitch. And he hops off his horse and he says some poetry and she goes, is that Monet or whatever? And he goes, no, what's it, Moreau? And she goes, who's Moreau? And he goes, I'm Moreau. So in other words, he just walked up, said poetry, hopped off his horse. And she was like, do you know how to fix a wagon wheel? He walks over to the wagon. Nah. And then he goes back to hitting on the chick. And then Philippe jumps off his horse and he's like, hey, remember why we're doing this? And he's like, go help with the wagon. And he has to go help the soldiers fix the wagon. You know, the soldiers that are hunting him. And then Andre hits on this chick. And then they fix the wagon and she starts to ride away. So Andre jumps in the wagon and he starts doing this palm reading thing where he's like, your line of Atlas and your helmet of, and he's just like listing.
This is looking at things around him, looking at the blanket that has all the sigils and everything on it.
Ooh, the bottom left corner of your court of
clover.
Court of arms has a clover. And the name is.
He moves her hand.
And this was after the Barber Scene.
Yeah, we forgot about the Barber Scene.
This movie has so much shit in it.
Basically, the Barber Scene was him going to his benefactor, pretty much being like, hey, where's my allowance?
But his lawyer basically saying, my allowance hasn't been paid. I need my allowance. Because he's an illegitimate child of a nobleman.
But they didn't want him to know, so he pays him off.
And back in the day, it was dishonorable to have a bastard. But it was also dishonorable
to not take care of
to not take. So, like, yeah. Which today's society is the exact opposite. It's okay to fuck a bunch of women, have a bunch of kids, and not pay for them. Rap music told me so. DMX is my hero.
Fucking talk ill about DMX, bro.
How many kids? 12? Didn't fucking help us.
He's dead, but X gonna give it to you.
Not to them, apparently. Anyway, yeah. So the lawyer tells him the name of the father. And it just so happens to be the name of the woman he just told he loves.
So when he pulls the hand up, he's like, you mean your name is whatever the...
Gravelac.
Gravelac? He's like, oh. And then he gets totally turned off.
His actor goes from like, yeah, to,
the swap ins and the guy, it's like, I don't want to be here. What the fuck? He's like, I have to go. Something came up. She's like, wait, and he jumps out.
Yeah.
Wait,
You'll kill yourself
going like 5 miles an hour.
But I told you, if you break your leg back then, that's it.
He's the one fucking climbing up buildings, doing the wow.
Yeah, I know, but like back then, you break your leg. Oh, you better hope it heals right, because you're fucked. Nobody lived past like 50, and if you did, whoa. That's the way it used to be back then. After they fixed the wagon wheel, Scaramouche, or not Scaramouche, Andre and Philippe go to like some weird tavern, and they're hanging out. And it turns out the French, the Kingsmen, as they call them, the French military, and the way the French military was structured was it wasn't based off meritocracy. If you had a good name and money, you were an officer, regardless of your ability.
Yeah.
So the fact that his adversary is actually like well-read and well-spoken and actually a military tactician is kind of interesting, because he's the noble who recognized his position and decided to embrace it. Whereas like the old guy he's with is just obviously someone resting on his name and money, the way he orders his troops around and stuff like that.
He's
like
a bitch.
He's a bitch, and all his troops are undisciplined, and he doesn't know how to hold a sword. So anyway, the old guy and our villain show up to the tavern, and they make Philippe and Andre. They sit down with them. Who are you? Oh, we're architects heading for Rome, whatever. And they're like, no. Who are you? And the guy's like, I don't want to say. And he goes, have you seen this pamphlet? And Philippe is the one who wrote the pamphlet. Yeah. So the guy starts reading from the pamphlet like, what a fucking loser.
He gets a little defensive.
A little defensive. And then that's when the guy goes, okay, we should go talk in this room.
Yeah, that's when
the villain.
Yeah, he sees him and he's like, because before that scene, the old guy was showing him the pamphlet and he's reading. It's like, oh, look at all this.
But the villain decides to believe our heroes that they aren't who they say they are.
Yeah, he basically walks over and he's like, oh, this name.
I recognize you. How's your mother? How's your father?
Is he still playing this?
Yeah, of course he is. And it's like, good. And you know it's all lies. Yeah. So they take him into a little side room. And then he basically says, like, I know you're Brutus. And the guy's like, whatever. And he was like, the real Brutus isn't a coward, only a bitch or whatever. And he calls him like a fucking coward and a loser to his face. So he fucking slaps him. No, he slaps him after he says his mom fucked the stable boy.
Yeah.
And he fucking slaps him. And then he goes, you know what this means, right? And the hero Philippe's like, oh, I will give you satisfaction. And they go out into the yard and they start fucking sword fighting.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
No, the guy kind of gets a little overwhelmed. The guy toys with him at the beginning. He cuts him in the arm, cuts him there.
What about when he stabs his sword and he steps on it and goes, what are you gonna do now? Like he could have just killed him right there, but he's like, what's up?
So that's the thing about every fight you see that guy in. He's always fucking
so
with him.
Much better.
Like even at the end of the movie, like he still tries to fuck with him. Then he realizes, then he starts panicking.
But not only panicking, starts fighting for real.
Yeah, dirty.
Not even dirty, but just
like knocking things into him.
That's towards the end when he realizes he's gonna lose.
Yeah.
But in the hallway, he tries to do the fucky shit, and then you see Andre just be like, yeah, that ain't gonna work. And that's when you see him go from smiling to, like this movie's sword fight is so good. So eventually he humiliates and kills Philippe. And Andre runs out and he grabs Philippe's sword and he swings at fucking the Marquis, and the Marquis starts fighting him, and it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Andre gets disarmed like what, twice?
Yeah.
So he runs over to the Marquis holding the sword to his throat, and he goes, go get your sword. I'm going to give you the honor of dying with the sword in your hand, which is the most you can ask for in this situation. I'm going to let you die armed. At least you put up a fight.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to die swordless.
Yeah. So he runs over to his sword, but he notices there's a pistol on the horse nearby. So he grabs the pistol.
And cannon.
Basically. And he's like, fuck you guys. I'm going to leave here. But I want you to know something, Marquis. I could kill you right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna kill you with a fucking sword. And the Marquis goes, all right, like he's into it.
And in the next 30 minutes for the epic montage training scenes.
Well, no, because he runs back to camp. Nope, that was a bluff. There is an epic montage.
If this was an 80s movie.
There is a training scene, but it's earned. It fits with the plot, and it actually is interesting, his training scene.
Yeah. It was well done. It wasn't like doing pull-ups.
It wasn't Rocky.
Yeah. Kickboxer.
There was no, now you're gonna do a montage. Montage!
Gonna defeat the villain, get the girl, and whoop some ass.
We gotta show a lot of events happening fast.
Jump roping fast. But yeah.
He runs, he realizes he's fucked. So he runs back to the actors, right? And they're not there. So he runs into town and he like hides in like this basement, and it just so happens to be where the troupe is acting, and the real Scaramouche, which is where the fable and this movie intersect fully.
That's cool.
Because the fable is Scaramouche is supposed to be this amazing sword fighter who hides behind a mask, but he's ugly. Elephant Man kind of thing. So
that's pretty funny considering you're saying he was being trained to be a sword fighter. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Right? So Scaramouche basically Andre winds up hiding in this play. He meets this fucking drunk guy and he takes on his costume to avoid the police, and then he winds up having to go on stage.
That was hilarious.
Obviously. So they throw him on stage. He doesn't know what to do, but the dude is just like a Three Musketeers, like very...
Yeah, he's a natural born, like...
physical actor.
And all of a sudden the girl comes out, the redhead. Yep. After Philip said he lost her.
Right. So...
And the whole scene's great because it's just them interacting and him
like realizing who each other are.
And they kiss, and she goes, Andre?
Berserk. Yeah. And they start fighting.
And that's where the real comedy comes, because it's all like the physical. They're hitting each other with the stuff.
Yeah.
Going behind the curtain, having it fall.
And it looks good, too. It looks good.
Looks like it was planned.
Yeah, but we, the audience, know it was planned. But the audience watching it, it looked just organic enough that we didn't care. And then she is like, oh my God, you're fucking Andre. And then the police come behind stage and they're like, all right, we want everyone to take off their masks as we're looking for the traitor, Andre. And that's when she realizes, oh shit, they're trying to kill this guy. So she kind of like...
They fake him. They fake
him out. So
they make us think that she's setting him up, being like, take off his mask, do that.
And then she pulls a lever and he falls through a trap door. When he falls through the trap door, the cops run down the stairs. They see the guy in the Scaramouche. The
original Scaramouche.
But it's the original Scaramouche because our hero is hidden in a basket. And then he winds up just touring with Scaramouche because he doesn't know what to do. And they become the biggest act ever.
They get invitation to go to Paris.
Paris.
But he says no.
Because
he wants to stay here because it's safe.
He wants to stay in La Crosse because it goes to Paris. Closer to the police, closer to the king. He's like, fuck that shit. But then he learns... What does he learn?
He learns that
the Marquis will be in Paris. And he's like, promise I was going to kill that dude with a sword.
Yeah, because this guy comes, he's like, hey, you want to be part of this thing in the government? And he's like, no, I have no interest in politics.
That's later. That's later after they move to Paris. That's after he learns to sword fight.
No, it's before.
No, because he learns to sword fight because one of...
Because
Scaramouche, the original Scaramouche... tells him, I learned a sword fight from this guy who trains the guy that you want to kill.
Yeah, this is where we get the kind of montagey thing where it's them performing on the stage and him learning how to
sword fight for real. And the guy who trains the Marquis is a revolutionist.
He trained the bad guy pretty much.
Marquis is the bad guy. Just use Marquis for bad guy.
He's the one that trained Marquis to be the best swordsman in France.
Which he is. Yeah. He fucks... Like, this is... the cool thing about this movie is, like, as a trained sword fighter, I'm watching this, and I'm going, yeah, I wouldn't use that technique, but I get it. No, I'm kidding. This movie is, like, real sword fighting. This is real sword fighting.
Well, a lot of sword fights, it's constant. I'm going to go up. You're going to go up. Down.
But real sword fights isn't Mel Gibson running at you and screaming, just displaying his chest fully and
any trained swordsman would be like,
poke you in the ribs, like, yeah. No, this is real fencing where you have your hand out here for balance. All the weight is on your front or back foot, and you're, like, gotcha.
It's that's why they call it the gentleman's.
It's like, the best way to sword fight.
Like, how can I wind this guy down to get that final
How
strike?
can I wear him out till finally I get through your defense?
Yeah.
It's genius.
Yeah, fuck that.
I love it because
having to be in that situation.
But notice how the first strike is always to the arm.
Yeah.
So that way you're like, you're better than me. All right, fuck, I can heal this. But it's the dude who's like, no, fuck you, that gets stabbed in the gut. Like,
plus, getting hit in the arm, it's gonna wear your arm out. You're not gonna be able to do the strikes then he goes. So you're bending and everything, it's like pain.
He gets you right here, then he gets you right here, so your arms are fucked, and then he gets you on the gut, and it's like, you want to keep fighting? Fine, I'm stabbing you in the fucking heart. Anyway,
imagine being sliced from here to here and trying to like do that.
But it's like, it's not like a deep cut; it's just the skin.
Yeah, but still, you're stretching.
Exactly. Yeah, it's opening up with every move. You've never seen The Duelist, but The Duelist is another movie that has amazing fencing in it.
No, I've seen the final fight of The Duelist.
You got to watch them all.
Yeah.
Because the final fight has pistols, and that's kind of lame.
I might not have been the final fight.
Did you watch the one by the windmill?
I think so.
With the mist?
Maybe.
And the guy's going, hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first fight. That's the opening to the movie.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. No, the movie starts with like, hey, here's what a duel looks like. Here's 40 minutes.
Oh, I'm really curious about the new one.
Well, it's not the new one because it's different direct. Oh no, same directors.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, man.
But it's The Duelist and The Last Duel. And if you know anything about The Last Duel, we know who dies because it's historical. But my problem is no color. Everyone's speaking with English accents, and it looks boring. Because the real story is super cool, and there's French people and French people.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
We just watched Scaramouche. How colorful was France?
Yeah. We'll see.
We won't.
We're gonna see it in theaters.
But so Scaramouche, or Andre learns from Scaramouche, the sword fighter. So he sneaks into the palace, which is cool. They do a cool sneaking scene.
Yeah.
And the best part is you see Marquis lose to his instructor.
And you see him getting frustrated, like, no, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm done.
So that means every fight we've seen the Marquis up until this point, he's won. So we see him lose to the guy instructing him, and we're like,
damn, this guy's fucking good.
So we're like, fuck yeah. All right. So
I love when he sneaks in too. Like, the guy gets confrontational because he tries to sneak in, the guy pulls a gun on him.
Yeah, he's just like, who are you?
What are you doing? He's like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but I have this. And he's like,
here's the pamphlet from Brutus. And he was like,
oh, cool.
All right, cool.
You're one of my
so
guys.
They start training. This movie takes place in 6 months.
Yeah, a few months, like 3 or 4.
So he trains with him, and the Scaramouche show is fucking blowing up.
Yeah.
And he winds up training with him and gets caught.
Yeah, fucking
the Marquis walks in. And he goes, how dare you train the heretic so-and-so? And then Andre's like, he didn't know.
I'm a general of blah, blah, blah.
I was a field marshal and artillery.
Some money. He's like,
here's your money, stupid. Like, to save his buddy.
Yeah.
And so they have a sword fight. And it's pretty back and forth, but you can tell the Marquis has the advantage.
Yeah, because the whole fight, you could tell Marquis fucking with him.
Yeah, because Marquis...
He's still at the cockiness where he's like wearing him down to the ground, backing up, let him get up.
Because Marquis would do this thing where in the first fight, he kept his sword down.
Yeah.
Which is the dumbest thing you can do in a sword fight.
It's a cocky fight.
But he knew he could win. And then the second fight, his sword's out. But not defensively, it's just out.
Yeah.
So he can do quick blocks.
And then he goes through like every fancy move he has.
Yeah, he's telling him the danton, like the 1, 2, 3, and he slices him up. And they fight all the way up until like the actual house.
He's lucky he was wearing the padding.
Yes, because he would have died.
He was wearing a fencing padding the whole fight. He's training.
They fight all the way upstairs. They're fighting in this hallway, which is a super cool hallway. It's just suits of armor and mirror and red and blue and just beautiful. And they're having this amazing fight. And then finally, our hero is backed up against the wall and he's about to get run through when the girl from the carriage shows up. And she's like, oh, I know this guy. He's my friend. And he uses that moment to escape.
Yeah, because he sees the guy who's training him.
Like,
get over here, trap door.
Yeah. And they go through a secret passage, and the guy training him takes him to the guy that trained the guy that trained him.
Well, he told him that This is the guy who trained him. He's in Paris, and then that gives him an excuse to tell the redhead who's been wanting to go to Paris to bring the show.
He trains with this guy for a while, and he's training for a long time.
Yeah, but the guy was in Paris. He was training with the master.
They're already in Paris, but he's not wanting to get into politics. Then the politician, the low-born politician, shows up and goes, "We want you to get into politics because we heard about how fucking badass you are with a sword." And he's like, I don't fucking care. And then he's like, man, well, it sucks that you don't want to join because the Marquis is about to show up. And, you know what?
I am interested in politics.
I am interested in politics. And his first day in, he shows up and he's like, I'm the big dick here. And someone challenges him. Glove slap. They fight.
I tell you, I don't like your face.
I don't like your eyes are full of pig shit and your voice matches. And he's like, okay.
Okay, yes, I agree.
Let's go. And he fucking kills him. Then he comes back to Parliament and he announces he killed him. And all the lowborn cheer. And you can see some nobles being like, that fucking piece of shit.
Now, it's the same day he had the second fight or a separate day?
I think it was...
Because it looks like he was trying to leave.
Yes, I think the same day is him walking back in and saying he killed the guy.
Yeah.
But then the next day is the second fight.
All right. Because then the next day, another guy challenged him. He's like, yes, you don't like my face.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't like it either.
Let's
All
go.
right. Yeah. Behind the church, 6 p.m. And he fucking...
He doesn't kill him.
He comes back. He will be out of court for 3 months, according to the doctor. Yeah. You know? Like, he fucked that guy up. And then a third guy challenges him. And this just happens to be the general that was chasing him in the beginning of the movie. And he's like, recognize me? Recognize me? And then he fucks him up.
And then the next scene, he's seeing his arms all in a sling and everything.
And he's using a cane to walk.
And the Marquis walks in. He's like,
the fuck happened to you, my best friend?
Lets him know. And he's like, shit. We're going to go get him now.
Let's go get him. I know where he lives. Let's go get him.
Then the girl, the sister, who's
in love with him,
runs down and she makes up some dramatic excuse.
You don't like my dress?
Oh, it's another woman.
Oh, it's another woman. You told me where she does women shit.
I want to go to the play.
And he falls for it. And he's like, okay, we'll go to the play. But then guard bro goes, oh, you should go see Scaramouche. And you can see her be like...
Well, no, I don't think she knew. She didn't know. But
like she knew Scaramouche was him. She wanted to go see a drama. He was like, let's go see a comedy. And she know her lover was in a comedy.
No, I don't think she knew he was Scaramouche at that point. She finds out.
Okay, yeah. No. I thought.
Remember, she sees the redhead. She looks at him and she's like, "Shit," because the redhead's been going with him.
Right, but I thought she was apprehensive about it. I might have misread her emotion.
No, I think she was just like, "Whatever, I won."
So they go to Scaramouche in this weird little theater, and at this point,
such a cool scene.
Andre's like acting troupe has made so much money that they all have amazing costumes,
cool effects, and everything.
With cool effects and a cool set, and they're doing the Scaramouche. And then the girl zooms in and she notices the redhead who's been in love with Scaramouche the whole time. And then she notices Scaramouche is Andre. And then Andre is bowing to the crowd and he looks up. Oh, that's the motherfucker I want to kill. Breaks character. Announces the Marquis's existence. The Marquis... No, the girl faints.
Like, oh, I feel sick.
I feel faint. We need to leave. So he goes out to the background. Scaramouche is like, nah, dude.
He does the coolest fucking...
And he does a ride up, and he lands on the thing, and he kicks the guy in the head, and he runs into the hallway, and he's like, Marquis. And the Marquis is like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, whoosh. And he goes, oh, okay. And like, no words. They both instantly like, oh, all right. Draw swords. How good was that sword fight?
It was pretty long too.
I told you, but it was real.
Yeah, the way they made the movies back then is they didn't have like the wires and everything. So basically, when they're on the edge of the railings and everything, they're walking on that, and you can see down below. They're like, if he falls,
the crowd's like this, but not because they're scared, but because they're bracing.
Yeah, they're like, if he falls, you got to catch him.
And they did have the wires, because Peter Pan, but. They didn't have the ability. They didn't have the ability to hide the wires, so they would use the wires sparingly.
Yeah, I don't think they used it that much.
They didn't,
because you couldn't tell anything.
When he jumped up and went like this,
yeah,
that was real.
Like, even during the fight, he falls off a balcony,
and grabs the railing. But if he hadn't grabbed the railing, he would have just fallen.
I might talk about that. He falls off, bounces off the couch onto the ground.
Oh yeah, then jump down.
The Marquis just jumps onto the couch, goes.
Yeah, he falls off and lands on his back and lands on his knees, and then the Marquis just does a jump in the air to land.
See, this whole fight, I still think the Marquis was the better swordsman. I think he was just underestimated him, and that's why.
Right, and then as soon as he got hurt, he got stuck in the mental game, which is what happens with you when we play fighting games. You get stuck in the mental game.
Thanks, bro.
It's the truth.
I know.
Like, you start to win, then I hit you once, and you fucking freak out.
Yeah.
But they have this fucking long fight where they fight all the way up there, and then they come down here. They're fighting through the crowd. They're fighting through the aisles.
They're literally walking on the seats, like the edge of the seats,
and they're picking pieces out of it. Like, they're scoring hits left and right. But the Marquis just gets one really good one across his arm, and that's what makes him flinch. And then you see
that's when he starts getting a little desperate,
and he starts throwing things, and he starts
moving like things in front of him.
Starts running.
Then you see the chandelier come down. That was so cool. Like, you see Andre Rollins back, look, then it cuts to his face, look up, the chandelier's like...
Yeah. And then eventually the Marquis gets swept off his feet, and he's on the ground, and his sword's in front of him, and he picks up his sword, and he throws it at him, and and then he goes, come on, grab it. The Marquis walks up very slowly. And
of course, when he grabs, he's the first one to lunge, too.
Well, no, as soon as he puts his hands on it, our hero points the sword to his chest just to remind him, like, quicker than you.
Yeah.
And then he pulls the sword out, and there's like a second. And then they start fighting again, and Marquis gets disarmed, and he gets humiliated in front of everybody, and he retreats because our hero just can't bring himself to kill him.
Something about this dude.
I can't. I hate you, but I can't.
We could be best friends, man.
We could have been Vegeta and Goku, but whatever. So he decides not to kill him.
And then the next scene, it's him, Andre, getting all mad, being like, blah, blah, blah. Then the benefit. Then who was the guy that came up to him that was like...
The lawyer. Oh, no, his Philippe's father, who was the guy that took care of him.
And he's like...
Hey, did you know that the Marquis' dad...
It's like, whoever that guy said was your dad, that was a cover-up.
Yeah, Marquis' dad is your dad. That's your fucking brother. Which means you can fuck your sister. But she's not your sister anymore.
I love when he realizes that. It's like, whoa.
He gets really angry because he's like, of course I couldn't kill him. He's my fucking brother. Why would he challenge? Oh, wait, I can fuck her? And then the redheaded chick is like, yes, this is a good thing.
That was sad.
She got the rawest.
I honestly think that was her just coming to terms being like, this has been a failed thing from the beginning.
Movie starts with him trying to fuck her, and then it ends with her going, okay, it's okay, you fuck other people.
Yeah, but then she threw the bouquet at him and exploded in his face.
Should have killed him.
That was great.
Should have killed him.
Imagine that.
I know.
Imagine if that was the ending.
I'd be like, wow, 50s film, we're ahead of their time.
You see her up on the thing like, yeah.
But yeah, okay, so Chad, what did you think of this movie?
The sword fights are great. The acting, like, this is a product of its time. The acting back then, in these like bigger movies, it was either a hit
or a miss. Is this a hit?
Oh, this is a great hit.
This is one of the best I've shown you in a while.
I like this movie.
I told you. Oh, I wish you would trust me when it comes to film. I've given you nothing but hits. You gave me Terrifier.
Terrifier is great. Wish I had a glove.
I'll give you Satisfaction. And then video cuts to me and you like really fencing in the backyard. We should see how much a foil costs.
What's up?
A fencing sword. We should buy a couple foils. Get really good at it. Join the Olympics. Actually, fencing is one of fencing, swimming, and running are like the 3 events I don't skip in the Olympics.
Really?
I love watching swimming and fencing and running.
The running one's cool. Like
running's amazing. Skateboarding
sucks. All right, let's finish this video.
So Chad,
overall, what did you think? All right, I'm not gonna put that in.
Go for it.
Trying to think of something that goes with what we had. Put pressure on me now. But overall, the acting, all the characters in this show how like great the old acting system was back in the day.
Yeah, we're not even trying to be nostalgic losers.
No, it's just they pick the best of the best with certain things.
Not necessarily, because what they would do is they would sign actors and actresses to multi-picture deals with one studio, so you would get stuck. However, and they would usually
the studios pick.
But like Marilyn Monroe is not a good actress, but she was
hot and they knew what made money.
ScarJo. What I'm saying is Scaramouche is like that rare where it's like all the actors were great. The script was solid.
The sets were great.
The sets were amazing. I could spend an entire episode talking about how miniatures and sound stages need to come back because fuck this green screen bullshit. Costumes, fucking soundtrack, fucking use of color. Everything was perfect in this movie. And it's like a story. It's a fucking story. Like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
See, the best part of this movie, I think it was like 111 minutes, 115 minutes. And when you told me that, and I'm like, I'm watching the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, there's a chance this might drag. But then it just keeps going, and it shows different.
And it's intriguing.
Yeah, it's not like most movies where it has like that bad second half of the movie.
Well, it's like with Spider-Man 3, where I was like, oh God, we're here now? You know? Like, this movie, like, when the ending came, you were like, no, I want more. I want more.
And the best part, like, you were talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably like 30, 40 minutes left. And I'm like happy about it, and we check it exactly 30 minutes. So it's paced perfectly. You know what's happening. You know the story keeps...
The beginning, little slow.
Yeah,
but it's trying to...
it builds the characters.
Yeah, like Philippe's only in the movie for like half an hour, but Philippe's character is important through the entire...
Well, that's also a problem with movies now. We don't develop characters enough before we get into the action.
Which is why we love Spider-Man 1 and 2. Yeah. Isn't it weird? Spider-Man 1 and 2 came out in 2000 and we completely lost the art of character development.
Our Spider-Man 3 video will come out someday.
I hope it doesn't, because that's a bad video. It's a bad movie. Burned myself real bad. It used to be like this big.
But overall,
10 out of 10. I love this movie.
Yeah, I'd probably give this a 10 out of 10.
This is definitely one of those movies where, like, I've been trying, like Phantom, I've been trying to get you to watch this for like...
I blocked it. I don't remember.
Yeah, but like, how often would you be like, what movie do you want to watch? And I'd be like, Scaramouche. And you would say no.
Well, I thought you were joking. But yes, 10 out of 10. We highly recommend.
Highly recommend. Not even kidding.
Go on Amazon, pay the $2.99.
Yeah, it's $2.99 on Amazon.
Don't look for the HD version.
Don't play it. Yeah.
I felt so stupid after that because I'm so used to going and being at find the HD version. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Chad signs up for a movie made in 1954, and he's like, "Why is it HD?" And it's like,
I want to see every imperfection.
It's like, Chad, they didn't have cameras that could do that yet. In fact, this was filmed on film.